وخمار شوي area crossroads.
Artination, everybody. This is your host, Patrick O.C., and welcome to the latest episode of Walk the Crossroads. Today, we'll be continuing our series on Tech and Psi and the Land of the Stars universe, and today specifically, we begin talking about the art side, those being Thaumaturgy, Tarot, and Invocation. Now, today, we'll be talking about Thaumaturgy, which is also known as the Art of Miracles, or in Elbertongue, Ilarin ere Ye Ibarian. Now, let's kind of discuss this idea. The quote from the Thaumaturgy wiki page says, "I shall teach you to command wonderment and terror." This was said by Nicodemus, the father of modern thaumaturgic study. If you hear a little beep in the background, that is one of the chats I'm part of. So anyway, the esoteric knowledge of thaumaturgy is the oldest and most closely guarded of the arts of Psi. Thaumaturgists themselves are often known by the name as wonder makers, miracle makers, and sigil keepers. Their power resides in the ancient enigmatic magic or power called glyphs that allow them to literally program sequence of psionic spells as they see fit. They're sometimes known as tech wizards because of it. Prime among the philosophies that drive the art of thaumaturgy is displacement, to remove and attack from afar. The power of control manipulation are the main drivers that gives the thaumaturge the ability to strike from far away while being ready with a strategy to out their enemies. Usually imagined as dressed in finery and cowls, they watch from the shadows to control the tides of battle in psionic combat. So as we've noticed, thaumaturgic practitioners are primarily known as thaumaturges. They're also known as Theurges, guile, and tech sages. These are the different interpretations of them. Their nicknames are Wonder Worker, Miracle Maker, and Mystic. Where and how the ancient school, and this is the history of thaumaturgy, was originally discovered is up for debate. Many say it was first pioneered in the misty hills of Anun, while members of the Iocene Brotherhood proclaim it was their patron saint who first delved into the art of miracle making. What is known is that the basic theories were basically created by a man known as Nicodemus the Wise, the leader of a monastic order found on the planet of Irkal. Nicodemus studied the ancient ancestor writings that dated back before the arrival of Pharaoh and the Avalon cluster. From these various records, Nicodemus was able to apprise and united several competing philosophies into the common theorem of thaumaturgy. It was Nicodemus who comprised the basic sequences that led to the modern glyph design, and it is his work that basically created what we see today and what are the theories behind Cascade. Now, a bit after this, we have what's known as the Guar's Revelation. After the occurrence of the Grimlight incident and the eventual fall of the Knights Imperial, increased competition between the science of Nicodemic theory. Perhaps one of the greatest achievements from this period was under the rule of Empress Blodwen, who grows little known from the Yamjin Omnioji, named Yasuna no Omokane, and established the Imperial College of Thaumaturgy. Yasuna was the first to dissect the undiscovered knowledge of the Guigara and the first to ascertain their knowledge of warp tech. And it is from warp tech that we get modern tech, for those of you who have not caught up with us. Yasuna's work would eventually create a greater understanding of the sequencing of glyphs and the ability to activate different parts of a cascade sequence, a fact that the Guigara had known for years, but was a recently discovered development for famous thaumaturgists. So now we're going to talk about methods. So, through understanding, we gain power. With power comes completion. Thaumaturgy is an art of displacement in sequences. Each sequence is built from the ground up to create active algorithms that allow the user to manipulate the disciplines of Psi. Central to their power are glyphs, a series of archaic emblems that are constructed to create formula to program a direction for the Psi energy to follow. Glyphs themselves are written using a special device known as a stylus, by using a charge of Psi that then fixates the air near the thaumaturge in question. Styli come in many forms, from specially tipped gloves, elongated staff with a focus point on the end, or even specialized wand. The arrangement of a glyph themselves formulates the basis of the sequence. How that sequence is activated is determined by the resulting cascade. Here's an example. Tasha surged the energy of her well through the focus on the tip of her finger as the energy passed from palm implants. She flicked her hand as her fingers drew out the swirls and circles of the glyphs. They glowed a dim blue color in the air, and when she touched them, they pulsed with energy, and as a swirl of flame lanced out from where they floated. Alright, let's talk about cascade construction. The basic cascade is constructed from 3 glyphs. The central one is known as the founder, who anchors the cascade itself. The other 2 represent the direction and target. Basic cascades can be used to summon an element, to extinguish a power, or lay a simple trap. cascades are usually arranged in odd numbers, meaning that 5 to 7 represents a more advanced cascade that has more than one target. For example, if a thaumaturge wants a cascade to summon not only water, but then to shape into whip, then a simple 3-form cascade will not do. Additional glyphs are needed for the shape, with ever-increasing numbers for each added complication. To control the movement or direction of something, the user must in turn move the glyph. Lex touched the center founder to activate the cascade, and then as his target ducked his fireball onslaught, he tapped 1 and held it with his stylus. He then swung it around in reverse motion as the founder redirected the fireball to swing back in an arc to attack the enemy again. Sequences can be designed and arrayed in 4 general patterns: a simple left to right cross, or downward line. These crosses allow a user to apply multiple cascades at once, all anchored to the same founder glyph. Secondary effects are always arranged vertically, with primary cascade effects displayed horizontally. Tasha was finding the duel against Lex to be troublesome. As the fireball swung back at her, she reached outward and struck the founder for crosses and stroked it downward. The fire that flung at her suddenly countered by a counter blast that split the fireball in twain. Length and preparation. Results of the cascade often happen directly once they are activated by touching the founder glyph. However, glyphs can be activated and deactivated for certain lengths of time. This is done by attaching an equalizer, meaning that literally the cascade glyph numbers become an even number. So that's why it's called an equalizer to the end. The equalizer allows the user to essentially turn the cascade on and off for specific amounts of time. Time specifically being required for the preparation of glyph, meaning that the thaumaturge must be careful in the strategies in the direction of the power counter that Tasha offered. With a yawn, he sat down and drew out a series of glyphs, 6 in total, and then touched the founder. A whirlwind of air advanced down in front of him and started to swing as he held the cascade with his wand and then drew downward to cause it to grow larger. Suddenly, as he brought it up to him and used it to draw him upward into the air. So in this instance, Lex has effectively created a whirlwind, and then he's created so that it's consistently being generated, and then he's directing it to cause him to fly into the air. Complications can easily arise, however, in the usage and activation of crosses. Cascades require attention and planning. They are not frontline fighters and cannot charge Psi into the weapons directly. Instead, they must prepare and know when to activate their cascade. If their glyphs are shattered or scattered with a pure burst of energy, they are done for. Finally, let's talk about proximity and displacement for method. One of the most dangerous strategies at the hand of the thaumaturge is the ability to displace or target the powers. This is done through what is known as a transference cross, a pattern cascade created from 9 glyphs arranged with 3 acting as founder glyphs. This is done with 2 horizontal lines that are then bisected the upper and lower sections. Transference crosses can become even more complicated when being used to target multiple locations. What each cascade in the cross does is the following. One exists to create the desired central effect, one exists to transfer that effect to another location, and the third then exists to target the specific area and act as a trigger. She quickly drew the glyphs and arranged the transfers cross carefully. She then tapped the central founder glyph, and a glow appeared behind Lex as she drew downward to strike the second founder glyph. With a flash, the area exploded and a gout of sound pinged and screamed into the man's ear. "I hate sound elementalists," Lex growled as he knocked on his behind by the searing sound wave. So in this instance, what she's done is she's created a targeted glyph that explodes behind Lex. This is one of the powers only thaumaturges have access to. Now let's talk about the different theories of thaumaturgy. There's 2 specifically. There's the Essenic school and the Nicodeme school. The Nicodeme being the oldest and generally the most conservative. Nicodeme says, with control comes power. The Nicodeme order of thaumaturges, or Nicodeme thaumaturgy, is a simple philosophy governing the teaching and direction of the art of miracles across the triad. To Nicodemes, thaumaturgy is an art that is to be cherished and learned with dogged attention. To learn without consideration or deeper thought to the meaning of each glyph and the construction of cascade is faulty. For this very reason, those who adhere to the Nicodeme dogma are always keen to watch over young errant trainees hawkishly to make sure they learn the proper education, a term they refuse to define. Many among the various thaumaturgic scholarly orders consider the Nicodeme to be mavens their best and militants at their worst. At the core of their beliefs is rigidity in the keeping to patterns. And I'm sorry about this, guys. There's some chat going on in the back. When one establishes an understanding of thaumaturgy, it is meant to remain with a set of rules. And rules themselves are not essentially set in stone, but they must be kept. So what they're trying to say here is that Nicodemus believed that once a tradition is established, you should just change it for the sake of changing it. You need to have good reason. This is the sense and desire for order leads many thaumaturgists to apply a systematic strategy in execution of tech. Deviation from the norm and from establishment in their teachings is considered an anathema and incorrect. This translates into many different beliefs across the wide sector of schools that make up the Imperial College, yet, by its core, the Nicodemus see that one sticks to tradition. What they are taught by their culture and by their people is meant to be thaumaturge, is what it means to be a thaumaturge and to wield the art of miracles. Socially, the Nicodemus act as advocates for centralized power and for respect of established hierarchy. Even though their founder brought about great change, he was a steadfast believer in the status quo and maintaining lines of power. Now, opposite them is the second great school of thaumaturgy, and that's the Yasunic school. Through chaos, we find revolution. When the Guarish revelation struck the realm of thaumaturgy, all cohesive thought established by the Knights Imperial was set asunder. Where once there was order came chaos, and the work to create the modern Imperial College of Thaumaturgy upset many traditionalists. Perhaps the most unforgivable sin committed, so that claimed the detractors, was the usage of foreign and alien information to improve the knowledge of the art as a whole. The revelation not only upset many traditionalists, it rewrote the knowledge that once was controlled by a select few and disseminated throughout the swath of the empire. Yasuna herself easily became a target, and her followers easily found themselves quickly at odds with the other philosophical factions of the Triad. Modern Yasunic philosophers profess a direct love of chaos and new ideas. Not only do they seek followers out as they seek out change and chaos, they believe that by pushing the limits of understanding, greater knowledge can be gained. Yasuna no Omokani believe that experimentation led to discovery and thus the fringe of understanding. Through these exploits, the Yasunic school of thought has considered many great quandaries. These include the disappearance of the Knights Imperial and the epiphany of the Halo. Perhaps their greatest consideration was pushing for the constant reform in the Imperial College yet. Many more of the unstable members of thaumaturgy, however, have come from the Yasunic line of philosophy. To push the edge of understanding at times comes at great cost. Ones that Yasuna no Omekani was willing to take herself and find the pursuit of knowledge. Now, everybody, I understand that this is, again, a little bit of a short episode, but we're kind of breaking down this into something that's more digestible. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you have a good day and a good week. And as the Amazons say, Artenishan la, Artemis to you.